welcome back. What we wanted to do quick here is just go over who I am, some of my history, the name Wilson Creek Crafts and where that came from, and then where we see this going. So, I'm Tyler, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining. A little history about me. So I graduated in 2007. I loved woodworking throughout high school, and I took as many woodworking courses that were offered. I built a little coffee table, a little shaker cabinet, a couple little odds and ends, things like that we had going on for projects there. After high school, I went to tech school, figured out quickly that it wasn't for me yet, or I just wasn't ready, one of the two. So what ended up happening was I took some time off, worked as a security guard, and then I actually ended up joining the Army. After I got out of the Army, I went back to tech school of sorts. I went back for welding. I really enjoyed that, but I felt like there was a different direction I wanted to take it. So what I ended up doing was going to school for engineering. Graduated with a bachelor's in engineering technology, emphasis in plastics. I do enjoy working with plastics, mainly injection molding, some blow molding in there. After that, I took a couple different positions, and now I ended up where I am now, working as a test engineer. So how this channel came about was, I was like, hey, I remember I like woodworking, and I started collecting some basic tools. You see in front of me here, decent table saw that I've got. It's a construction job site table saw from DeWalt. It is the DW745. It's a very solid table saw for what we're doing currently, and it's not a budget breaker. That was another thing, is I'm putting this together on more of a budget than some people do. So going through, figured out that I wanted to start a shop. I took my half of the garage. My wife still gets the other half. She can still pull her car in and park over there. My stipulation was it needs to be in during the winter and fall, so we can work with that. Everything still fits on my side of the garage, so currently sitting at my table saw table, and then I've actually got room down there for the planer. And behind me, you can see the Shapeoko, and then behind the camera, we've got the miter saw station. Everything's on casters, so I can move it around. In the background, you can see a nice shelf and more storage area. And then over on the sides, we've got more storage. Jumping back into who I am, the history, and the name of Wilson Creek Crafts. So after graduating from college, what we did was I picked up a few different tools, odds and ends, and I've kind of pieced it together over the time that I was about a junior in college until now. I'm about a year out of school. So at my current position, I'm a test engineer. I get to work with a wide variety of different tools, so it gives me experience outside of the shop to work with the same sorts of tools, just on a larger production scale. It's kind of nice coming back and working with the smaller tools. There's still the same hazards, everything's just smaller and more condensed. You don't have a giant machine and all the other machinery that operates it behind it, and robots and things like that I need to worry about in industry. I have a nice small garage shop here. Wilson Creek Crafts. So the name came from where I lived in high school back in 2007. There was a creek that ran through our town, and it was called Wilson Creek. I always loved going down there, walking the dog past there, fishing. It was a trout stream. So I was kind of just thinking around one day, and I was like, hey, I remember the creek, I like that, and I was kind of trying to think of a name, and I'm like, well, Wilson Creek Crafts. I'm a craft shop and build things, and I don't know if I want to say I'm a furniture maker yet. I haven't done a ton of specifically furniture, so I was like, hey, Wilson Creek Crafts, that has a good ring to it. So I did all the checking and didn't find anyone that had the same name, and so that's how it stuck. Basically right now we're going to work on signs. I want to work on basic furniture. I have a few builds that I wish I would have filmed. I built my father-in-law a nice TV stand. It was a larger double door sliding TV stand. Actually, if I can get a picture of it, I'll place it somewhere here in the background so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was a decent sized one, and it came out very nicely. I was very excited about that. That was a Christmas present to him from all the kids. So cutting boards are kind of my bread and butter. I'll also place a picture of some of those in the background while we're talking about this. Basically, I'm directing a lot of this towards Etsy sales or family, friends, local people, like the local market. That's where I want to go first, and then after transitioning over a little bit, once we started following and get people behind us, I'd like to transition to Etsy and my own personal website. And then from there, we'll just kind of see where it goes. Maybe just drop Etsy and go completely to our website, or we'll figure it out. It kind of depends which direction everything goes. And this is where I get to plug the like and subscribe, please, because that always helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you. So from here, we're starting small. It's going to be cutting boards, signs, combs, waxes for the cutting boards. I want to start small. Everything that's able to ship in a smaller box is not going to cost an arm and a leg to ship. We all know shipping's kind of expensive now. Between 2020 and 2021 here, shipping kind of went through the roof. And the goal is to get good at the small things and then work our way up to small furniture and then larger furniture and eventually get into tables, chairs, dining room sets, anything you can think of at that point. Got to start small though, make sure we're good, get that following going, and then get some commission builds going, and then hopefully get some tables, coffee tables, things like that. We're actually currently working on a small desk for my brother-in-law. We're gonna have a video of that coming up, and then we're actually gonna build a coffee table with some of the hockey sticks he found in an old storage locker of theirs, and we're gonna try to get that covered in epoxy and see how that turns out. Hopefully it'll have the same luck as I did with the TV stand for my father-in-law. So I'd like to talk about the few different things we have in the shop so far. Right now, behind the cameras, we have a Ryobi sliding miter saw. In front of me, I've got a DeWalt table saw. Down below, behind the cameras, we have a DeWalt planer, one of the 3-blade planers, a large lunchbox style. We have a couple different hand sanders, a belt sander. I actually have a table belt sander up to the side. Behind me, we have the Shapeoko XXL, and then actually we did these flags on there and it turned out very nice. Those will actually be plugged on our Etsy store coming up here pretty soon. I'm actually working on a wax blend for cutting boards. I've got a couple cutting boards ready to go, and then we may do an unveiling of a sign that I made for my brother-in-law. It was just a fun little project. I wanted to see how it turned out, and it actually turned out really nice. Down below, you'll find all the links to the different tools that we have in the shop. I'll try to link everything so you can see what we're talking about and what we have here going so far. Throughout the course of the videos, we'll show you. Once I get it cleaned up and organized a little bit more, we can actually do a real shop tour and I can walk you around each station. I would like to set it up more and with a more cohesive flow, but as of right now, we're kind of limited by space. So I want to wrap this up by saying thank you for joining us. Welcome. Let's go along for this adventure. Come along with us and see where it goes. We got to take the first steps and see what happens.